Okay. So, what year of study are you?
I am a junior.
Okay. And how many times do you ride your bike?
Every day to class, sometimes twice a day, especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay, and you have class every day?
Yes, I have class Monday through Friday.
And these days, some people talk a lot about being a safe driver and encourage people not to text or drive and then drink and drive. Like, how would you describe being a safe bicycle rider?
They need to be really aware of their surroundings and be looking ahead for seeing like if there's any possibilities of people running into you, running into other bikers. I mean, it's kind of the same, you know, when you're driving a car, you know, looking ahead, making sure that you're not going to run into everyone. The same applies to on a bike. I see a lot of people, they'll be riding, talking on their phone, or they'll even be texting, and I'm like, how are you doing that? And I don't understand it, because they're going to run into someone and hurt themselves or the other person, and so I don't
That's
know how they
really
do it.
funny, because like I was actually driving from my apartment to campus, and I saw this guy, like he was talking on the phone. He was riding his bike, he was talking on the phone, and he was like smoking a cigarette all at the same time, and I was just like, that's talent. Like, I would not know how to do that.
It's especially dangerous for like the biker if they're on normal roads,
Uh-huh.
because they also need to be aware of cars and stuff, because cars aren't necessarily always used to bikers.
Yeah.
And so they need to be more aware even of what the cars are doing. And so when you're on a phone, that decreases your attention, and you can get hit by a car, you can hit a pedestrian, you can hit another biker.
That's so funny. Well, accidents happen for a variety of reasons, such as road conditions, mistakes, or what some call bad luck. As you think about your lifetime, like what bicycle accidents, if you have any, have affected you, and if you can tell me about it.
A lot of, like, I know I'd get thrown off balance a lot. Wasn't quite an accident over, it's actually right in front of the law college, switching into this little road that goes behind all the different sorority houses and fraternity houses, and that bump always used to throw me off, but they're actually just doing construction over that, fixing it.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I guess that won't be an issue. And then like a lot of times, half the times when I fall, I've done a miscalculation error and I like go off the road or anything, and it's not like I don't run into anyone or anything. It's just I look like a fool because I've fallen off my bike because I don't know, I miscalculated a turn, and so I hit it wrong, and it throws your front wheel off, and so then you go tumbling one side or the other. I've done that a couple times. And then there are some times when you get, you know, the bikers that aren't paying attention. I've almost ran into a couple of them. And then also the pedestrians that like cross into the
bike lane.
The bike lane. You swerve and like you sometimes go into the grass, or you stop, and that can just like throw you off. And
that's funny, because like I always have to like cross into the bike lane when I'm coming from like the right, well, I'm like walking towards the dorms and I'm on the right side of South Oldham, then I have to get to Gaylord, and so I always try to look both ways.
I always do too when I'm walking.
Yeah, so I mean, bikers are intense on campus because there's not much room for them. They just have like that short little.
And so you're like trying to weave in and out, and then if people are in the spot that's designated for you, it's frustrating because they do designate it as a bike lane to try and make it a little bit safer, try and keep pedestrians away. And so then when pedestrians are like deliberately walking down it, I'm not saying crossing it. Crossing it needs to happen because you got to get over to, you know, Georgeland Cross, Richardson, Gaylord, Architecture Building. You got to get over there somehow. But the people that walk directly in the middle of it,
that's like suicide.
I'm like, are you just doing this to make everyone mad?
Yeah, not just like bicyclists, but like the other pedestrians too. All right. How much do you know about riding a bicycle safely?
Ideally, you should wear a helmet that fits you well so that you can protect your cranium in the event of a fall. My dad actually rides bikes, and he does like bike races.
Okay.
And so he actually took a tumble when he was training for doing this long bike race in Wichita Falls, and he hit his hip. He had a big welt on it on the side for like a good month, and he also hit his head, and he said he was really thankful that he, you know, was wearing his helmet. And I know I should wear my helmet more often when I'm going to campus, but it's a 5-minute bike ride, and I do my hair or something. It's like I don't want to throw a helmet on over it, but especially like riding on roads, like if I were to go over to Homeland or something, I'd wear a helmet. I don't know. I know a little bit about technique. If you're going to do like long distance, you want to make sure your knees are tracking over your feet, and you want to make sure that the bike's the right size for your frame. A lot of that is just so you don't hurt your own body while you're riding it, and you have better control over the bike.
Oh, wow.
But that's more if you're going to be doing long distances and not necessarily, from Traditions at campus.
Yeah. How long has your dad been riding?
My dad, I don't even know. He's done it for years. I know at least 25 years ago he competed in the same bike race that he competed now.
Okay.
So like since he was 25, he turns 51 this year.
Oh, wow.
So like a good 25 years, 26.
So he's like an avid cyclist.
Yeah.
In the past year, have you taken any steps to protect yourself as a bicycle rider? For example, have you bought a new helmet, chosen a different route, bought a new bike? If so, can you tell me about it, what you have done? If not, do you think you will take any steps in the future?
I have a really nice helmet that my dad bought me, and like I said, I should wear it more often. I haven't really changed my route at all. I mean, it's pretty direct. You can either go on the sidewalk up towards the stadium, up Asp, or you can kind of go a little bit around and head towards Dale. And I found that instead of crossing the road, what is that? There's a road there in Asp from Traditions East. Okay. Instead of crossing there, I decided to cross in front of the Law College and then cross the road once, right over there where they were fixing it.
Because I found that there's not as much traffic there.
Yeah, there's not as much traffic, and you can, if you just look both ways, you usually can go straight across and head in. And so it's much easier, and there's not much traffic that runs behind this up until Dale, and so it seems to be safer for me, and so that's why I choose that route.
Okay. In your view, how important is obeying rules of the road when riding a bicycle, and how important is riding in a bicycle lane when riding a bicycle?
If there's a bicycle lane, you should be riding into it, like riding in it, because like especially during high population. I know sometimes like if you're still on campus at 7, like coming from a review session and no one's on campus, it's fine because then you can maneuver around people. But when there are hundreds of pedestrians and there's a bike lane for the 30 bikers, use the bike lane even if it is a little crowded. Usually there's enough to pass, and so it's like you don't need to be passing really other bikers going to class. Yeah. And so you can just stay in line because there are some people that are like always trying. I'm like, really?
Like you're already getting there faster.
I'm like, really? The furthest you're gonna go is, I don't know, like the arts building. Yeah. And after you get out of the South Oval, it clears up, and you can race ahead as fast as you want. So. It's kind of silly.
Like that's solid couple seconds.
I know, and bikers, I know we're supposed to ride, same bike on the right-hand side. We're supposed to stop at stop signs like cars are supposed to. You're supposed to indicate with your arm which way you're turning since we don't have blinkers. I always try to indicate with my arm. If there are other cars at the intersection, I will stop. Yeah. If there aren't, especially if I'm on campus, I will kind of scoot by that and just keep going because especially back here, there's this 3-way stop and there's no one ever there really. Yeah. And so I don't stop at the stop sign. If there were people there, I would stop because you're supposed to, but otherwise don't. And then if there's people behind me, I always make sure to use my arm signs, whether it's pedestrians or other bikers, because then they know you're turning off. And I don't know. And then it's really hard with pedestrians because some people don't know how to, because it's common courtesy when you're riding a bike to be on the left, I'm passing on your left, because in Wichita Falls there's this big circuit of sidewalk that goes all the way around the city for runners, bikers, walkers, and so you get a lot of the people training for their bike rides. And so when I'd go riding with my bike and with my dad, he always taught me that when you're passing a pedestrian or another biker, you always say, I'm passing you on your left. Because you usually pass on the left kind of the same way. And then you have these pedestrians where you ring your bell and you're like, I'm passing you on your left, and they move into the left. And so then you're trying to swerve, or then they don't listen to you at all and they don't move out of your way, so you're sitting there braking and having to stop and ride behind them until they scoot over. And so, I don't know, maybe there should be, I don't know, I'm kind of going off on a tangent.
No, you're fine.
maybe there should be some education for both the bikers, and because I know a lot of bikers don't know these rules, and the only reason I know them, or these like kind of common courtesy rules, is because my dad taught me, because he's an avid cyclist.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, especially on like some of the smaller sidewalks that don't have bike lanes and stuff like that, and there are bikers on them, and if like campus wide people kind of knew that if you see a biker and they say passing on your left, just scoot over, it doesn't take that much, and because it's dangerous for the bikers if they're like trying to get past you and they can't, and it's, I don't know, it's hard.
All right, think back to the last 3 times you rode your bike. Did you wear a helmet?